The Jussie Smollett case may be officially closed, but the fallout is just beginning.
Yep, so here to break it down for us is our legal expert, Ashley Kirkwood of Mobile General. Thank you for coming in again, Ashley.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. We have so much to break down. So we got to start with Kim Foxx. She said it's normal for charges like this to be dropped. Is that true? What did she mean by that?
Well, it's yet to be seen if that's true. As you all may know, there's a memo circulating asking for similar cases. As of right now, we know of 2 confirmed cases. There may be more to follow. So we'll see how usual this is. We do know it's at least happened before.
So can you explain to me why the FBA is supposedly getting involved now? Because her office apparently did nothing wrong. That's what they're telling us. But why is the FBI going to be involved?
Well, the FBI has yet to release a statement, but they do investigate cases of corruption. And so when there's an allegation of corruption, it's possible that they'll get involved. We don't have a statement from them just yet, but let's say that there was money exchange to get this done, or there was any type of treatment that wouldn't have made this an ordinary case and money exchanged hands, there was any type of corruption like that, those would be instances of public corruption that the FBI could investigate. And in Illinois, it's not exactly uncommon.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is going on within her own office where people are asking of these examples. That in itself is to be a red flag, like something surely isn't right here with Kim Foxx.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
One, I think Kim Foxx will come out fine on this. I just want to say that.
Okay, because that's what I was curious of, yeah, too, a lot of people. Sure.
Yeah, I think she'll be fine. But I do think, too, we have to remember this is the state. They don't always keep the best records, okay? So when people start inquiring into the numbers and how many times this has happened, she has to rely on her assistant state's attorneys to kind of give her that information if they aren't already keeping such records.
And why would her office ask CPD to stop sharing the documents?
Well, as you all know, there were all these reports swarming that the case was actually going to be sealed and his record would be expunged. Expunged means wiped clean, meaning including the records that have now been shared. But because of the proximity in which the records were shared super fast, the case hasn't officially been expunged as of yet. So she's saying, give us a chance to expunge the case. Obviously, we're going to do that. And I say she, but her office is saying, please stop sharing these records. This case is in the process of being either sealed or expunged. And if that's the case, these records would not have been shared if the case was already expunged. But as of right now, or as of a few hours ago, I don't think it is.
Okay, so, well, the records are out there. We have the police records.
They were quick.
That everybody's seeing,
Yes.
So you can't take those back out from the public eye.
You can't, which is an injustice to Jussie. So when you get your record expunged, it's supposed to be as though it never happened, so that it doesn't impair you in the future. Because everyone knows having a criminal record, even having an arrest record, can negatively impact your career and your trajectory for life. So it's unfortunate that these records were shared so quickly. And ordinarily, they would not have been shared that quickly. They do have 5 days, but they did it very quick.
So how should the CPD be viewed in all this? A lot of this is on Kim Foxx right now.
Look at her face.
I feel like they kind of slid into the shadows with this. How should they be looked at?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that the Chicago Police Department wants to be the victims. It's rare that they even get to play this card, that we are victimized.
It's a PR play.
Yeah, how often does CPD or the mayor of the city get to say, no, I was aggrieved, or this is a whitewashing of justice, as Rahm Emanuel
use
said.
Of words, too.
Yeah, that use of words was probably inappropriate for a lot of reasons, but the CPD should be viewed as jumping the gun. They are to investigate, hand it over to the state's attorney. What they did instead was they investigated, they went out on a press tour, they made statements about the check.
They were really invested on this one.
Oh, they were invested.
But they traditionally work together, right?
They do.
The state's attorney, the police department, they work together.
And they have to work together in order for justice to be served, which is why, if you notice, the state's attorney's office isn't saying he's been exonerated or we no longer believe the investigative work of CPD, but rather, based on the circumstances, he likely would not have gotten time anyways, and so we made this deal. So they're not trying to throw CPD under the bus, whereas on the opposite end of things, CPD is very clear about who they're throwing under the bus.
Yesterday, some internal memos were leaked from Kim Foxx's office, and they were tweeted out, and basically they're looking for similar cases to Jussie Smollett's. Is anything in these leaked documents or this leaked internal memo illegal?
No. So nothing in that memorandum leads me to suspect that there's illegal activity. It just seems that they're fact gathering. And they're being preemptive because these are the questions that are going to be asked.
Yeah, as we talk about Kim Foxx, what stuck out to me was how she recused herself so early in the investigation. Why was that? What was the reason behind that?
Well, one, it's come out now that she didn't formally recuse herself, but she used that language. And it was because at first she was in contact with the family because he was a victim. But he quickly turned to the defendant.
So that switched her role because she had already taken steps as treating him as a victim into now him turning into suspect, she couldn't legally be involved?
It wasn't that she necessarily couldn't legally be involved, but when you're a lawyer, you have to comply with legals and ethics. And she didn't want it to look as if she was showing favoritism or had some type of a close relationship. That would even be viewed as inappropriate.
Because I think people were saying to me, like, isn't that shady that she's no longer part of the investigation? Well, why wasn't that? So that gives that explanation and puts that to rest.
That was almost ethical. Now, what she could have done, she could have taken it a step further and recused her entire office.
That was my question, because it's like she's still connected to the office. She's still advising of them,
And she's the boss.
advising them what to do. She's the boss.
It's still under her umbrella.
She's still telling them what to do and how they should move forward and how they should prosecute. She's just not the one that's doing the actual legwork or the one in front of the media like that. So it still seems like there's a conflict of interest which she was trying to break from.
Well, what her office has reported that there was almost like a Chinese wall. It's like a language we like to use as lawyer around her, meaning she would be roped off from the investigation. So she wouldn't be directing it and be intimately involved in the day-to-day. She's the leader of the office, but assistant state's attorneys have jurisdiction to or jurisdiction's not the right word. They basically run their cases.
They have power to
They're
run
not
their cases.
checking in with Kim Foxx at every step of the way.
Would that actually happen, though? That she would really be totally uninvolved in it?
Yeah, and actually it's quite common. So even I've worked at firms where I couldn't see documents on a particular case, even though I was at the particular firm. So
even though you're the boss of the people that are keeping it from you?
Now, when you're the boss, it would be a little more difficult, and you have that issue of the appearance. Because the thing is, we're worried because it looks a little shady.
So
Everything looks a little bit
explain
shady.
this to me. So if you're Jussie in this position and you clearly feel like you've been wronged,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you sue? Because to me, if you're not going to sue the CPD or the state or the city, it's because you don't want this thing to be reinvestigated because you might get found out. You might get discovered. So to me, it almost looks like, aren't you kind of guilty if you're not going to sue?
Not necessarily. And this kind of seems like Eddie Johnson's argument. Like, why wouldn't he want it to go to court? People plea every day to crimes they take a plea every day for crimes they did not commit. And it's extremely traumatizing to go through a trial. Lots of money, lots of time, and it brings up old feelings of inadequacies and victimization. If he's still saying he's the victim, and that's a possibility, especially with the current disposition of the case, then he may not want to go through that again.
But before we go
But it's on
really
the
quickly,
table.
do you think that the two brothers involved should sue for defamation or something like that?
I think they should go away.